That's cool.
Justice for you. The Doors of Old Kenmore. It's now a part of history, a part of this country's shame, when fucking up people's minds and lives was a governmental game. A hospital for the insane was established in 1894, behind the walls and doors of Old Kenmore. My time there started in the 60s, picked up for vagrancy and drunk. It was a time when it was a crime being homeless and poor. My job choices were the abattoir or the senseless Asian war, so I was sent to get some therapy behind the doors of Old Kenmore. They started me off with mind-numbing drugs, but I didn't get better, I got worse. The shrink said, "Count your blessings," but I just sat and cried and cursed. Soon I learned to abhor my time behind the doors of Old Kenmore. One day the shrink said, "We have a new therapy. It's called electroconvulsive, or just plain old ECT. They hooked me up as I fought, and the doctor joked, we'll give you your brain back when we scrape it off the floor. Just one more torture behind the walls of Old Kenmore." It was at this time the lady came to me. She held my hand as I was lying there, a beautiful woman with emerald eyes and sparkling golden hair. When I awoke, I caused a great uproar when I described what I saw, but they said there was no one like that behind the walls of Old Kenmore. But she continued to come to me at night. She kissed me as I whimpered in my screams that I was hearing in my largactyl dreams. We began a wonderful friendship, and soon after, she explained, she could never leave this place whilst anyone else remained. She was the lady I came to adore behind the walls of Old Kenmore. The shrink told me she was a delusion, she wasn't really there, but we both just smiled without a care. Then he got real serious and said, if I believed in her existence, then I could never leave. So he upped the voltage and drugs. She responded with kisses and hugs. But soon I could stand no more and was broken to the core. When he called her a non-existent whore, I really had to get out from behind the doors of Old Kenmore. So I told them I'd imagined her, even though she was close by. The shrink said, "Now that's a good boy," as she began to cry. No one else noticed the teardrops on the dirty floor as I finally went through the doors of Old Kenmore. My later life was a total mess. I remained aloof, lonely and depressed. So I devoted the rest of my life to get the nightmare that was Kenmore closed. I studied all I could about the place, and in an old photo I found her face. She had suicided there and was buried without a trace. I went there on the closing day, when the last patient was finally sent home. It was at the end of the suffering and the terrible fear, and I'm sure that this time I wasn't the only one to see and hear the biggest rainbow and a thunderous roar, and the beautiful angel that opened her wings to soar, when they finally opened the doors of Old Kenmore.